Good evening. You are tuned in to AWANI Tonight with me, Cynthia Ng. The Malacca Fatwa Committee has issued a fatwa declaring the teachings and practices of GISB Holdings Sdn Bhd as deviant. State Mufti Dato Abdul Halim Tawil says that the teachings and practices of GISB exhibit similarities to elements associated with Al-Arqam.
The teachings were declared deviant in 1994, along with the movement's rebranded Syarikat Rufaka Corporation Sdn Bhd, which was banned in 2007. Abdul Halim said the committee had determined that the tenets promoted by the GISB group are contrary to Islamic law. On September 21st, 285 items associated with the teachings of Al-Arqam were discovered during a raid on 19 premises linked to GISB in Malacca. Separately, GISB appealed to the government to allow its members to be involved in the welfare of their children who were currently under the care of the Welfare Department. The organization's lawyer, Rosli Kamarudin, said the government should grant parents access to the children, estimated to be around 500. The children were rescued in a police operation last month from welfare homes linked to GISB.
Project expenditure for the 12th Malaysia Plan from 2021 to 2023 has surpassed the approved allocation of 222 billion ringgit. According to the latest Auditor General's report, the expenses of 231 billion ringgit make up 56% of the total ceiling allocation for the project.
As of August 26, the report highlighted that 169 projects were behind schedule, while another 258 were classified as no progress. The AG's office recommended that monitoring officers conduct more thorough and continuous supervision. It also called for immediate intervention measures to ensure that the 12th Malaysia Plan's development projects were fully completed by the end of 2025.
The amendment to the Water Services Industry Bill 2024 has been tabled for its first reading in the Dewan Rakyat. The bill, tabled by Water Transformation Minister Dato Sri Fadilah Yusof, aims to empower courts to order polluters to cover the cost of restoring contaminated water supply systems. The bill seeks to amend the Water Services Industry Act 2006 or Act 655. One of the key amendments proposed is to Section 121, making it an offence for any individual to contaminate a water source that could result in supply disruptions. It also proposes that penalties be increased to act as a deterrent to water contamination. The bill also seeks to introduce a new subsection to prohibit the discharge of banned substances into a septic tank. The issue of drug abuse and addiction among school students in the country is on a worrying upward trend. According to statistics from the National Anti-Drugs Agency, AADK, drug abuse cases among primary school students rose from 10,456 in 2020 to 12,755 in 2023. The youngest recorded addict was just 11 years old.
AADK Deputy Director General Khairul Anwar Bachok revealed that for lower secondary students, drug abuse cases increased from 32,867 in 2020 to 37,321 last year. Among upper secondary students, the number surged from 42,758 in 2020 to 55,855 in 2023. In response to this alarming trend, Khairul Anwar said the AADK has implemented various preventive measures under the I-Cegah model, focusing on 5 key elements: screening and assessment, profiling, planning, implementation, and evaluation.
More than 500 people have been arrested under the government's program to protect Malayan tigers between 2021 to July 2024. Natural Resources and Environmental Sustainability Minister Nik Nazmi Nik Ahmad says the arrests include 431 Malaysians and 91 foreigners, with seizures amounting to 150 million ringgit.
The suspects were arrested under Operasi Bersepadu Khazanah, a joint effort between the Police, the Wildlife and National Parks Department and the Environmental Department. The operation aims to safeguard Malayan tigers from poaching by increasing patrols in protected areas across Peninsular Malaysia. Nik Nazmi said the government had already taken measures to combat trespassing through its Community Rangers program, which has grown from 1,000 to 1,920 members, mostly made up from the Orang Asli community.
We will be back with more after the break.
Rambut gugur lagi? Macam mana Gunakan Pantene Baharu dengan provitamin mikro yang meresap dan menguatkan rambut dari dalam. Rambut 10 kali lebih kuat terhadap rambut gugur. Pantene Baharu.
In the early hours of Monday, an Israeli airstrike killed 3 people and wounded 40 others when it hit some tents of displaced Palestinians near the Al-Aqsa hospital, where 1 million people were sheltering. The escalation in northern Gaza has taken place alongside a huge Israeli air assault and ground campaign on a separate front in southern Lebanon against Hezbollah.
Palestinian and United Nations officials say there are no safe areas in Gaza. They have also voiced concerns over severe shortages of food, fuel and medical supplies in northern Gaza and said there is a risk of famine there. The Israeli military claimed that it struck militants operating from a command center inside the compound, accusing Hamas of using civilian facilities such as hospitals for military purposes, which Hamas denies.
The European Union has condemned attacks on UN peacekeepers in Lebanon and rejected Israeli allegations that the United Nations was keeping them there to obstruct military operations against Hezbollah. EU Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell says it is completely unacceptable to attack UN troops, while Austrian Foreign Minister Alexander Schallenberg, whose country is one of Europe's strongest backers of Israel, said that its peacekeepers will not be leaving.
No, they will not withdraw. No, yes, they will continue to fulfill their mandate. And yes, we demand on each and every party to respect this mandate and respect the security and safety of our blue helmets, which has to be ensured at each and every occasion.
Israeli forces have repeatedly fired on UN peacekeepers since the start of its ground operation in Lebanon. At least 5 peacekeepers have been wounded in attacks that struck their positions in recent days, most of them blamed on Israeli forces. The second phase of a polio vaccination campaign started in central Gaza before moving to the south and later to the north. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, the doses are being administered in addition to vitamin A to protect children against the spread of epidemics and diseases.
The first round of vaccinations was undertaken last month after a baby was partially paralyzed by the type 2 polio virus in August, the first such case in the territory in 25 years. WHO said the campaign aims to reach about 590,000 children under the age of 10 across the Gaza Strip in less than 2 weeks as part of the second round of the vaccination campaign. On Friday, the United Nations voiced concerns that the fighting and the evacuation orders in northern Gaza might affect the vaccination campaign.
This year's Nobel Prize in Economics has been awarded to 3 US-based academics for their research into differences in prosperity between nations. The award for their work into why countries succeed and fail is the final prize to be given out this year and is worth $1.1 million.
The 3 laureates are Turkish-American Darren Ashimoglu and British-Americans Simon Johnson and James Robinson. The chairman for the Prize in Economic Sciences said that reducing income disparities between countries is one of today's greatest challenges, and the laureates have shown the critical role of societal institutions in addressing this issue. All 3 winners are based in the United States, with Ashimoglu and Johnson working at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, while Robinson conducts his research at the University of Chicago. Unlike the original Nobel Prizes for Science, Literature and Peace, created in the will of Alfred Nobel in 1901, the Economics Award was introduced later, funded by Sweden's central bank in 1968.
So I think this is a time.
The world's 26 poorest countries, home to 40% of those living in extreme poverty, are now deeper in debt than at any point since 2006, according to a new World Bank report. Most of these nations are in sub-Saharan Africa, including Ethiopia and Congo, but the list also features Afghanistan and Yemen.
The 26 countries with annual per capita incomes below $1,145 increasingly rely on grants from the International Development Association, IDA, and low-interest loans as market financing dries up. Two-thirds of these nations are either embroiled in conflict or face severe institutional fragility, which deters foreign investment. Most are also heavily dependent on commodity exports, making them vulnerable to volatile economic cycles. This marks a significant setback in the fight against extreme poverty as the World Bank seeks to raise $100 billion to replenish its IDA fund, which supports the world's poorest nations.
China is holding military exercises against Taiwan in what it describes as a warning to those seeking the island's independence. Taipei has condemned the latest round of drills, calling it an unreasonable provocation and saying that it is ready to defend itself.
A total of 25 Chinese aircraft and 7 Navy vessels were detected around the island. The exercises are seen as a response to a speech by Taiwanese President Lai Ching-te last week, in which he pledged to defend the island's sovereignty. Despite the ongoing drills off the coast, Taiwan's Transport Ministry reported that air traffic and port operations remain unaffected. China has ramped up military activity around Taiwan in recent years, sending in warplanes and maintaining a near-constant naval presence in surrounding waters. Beijing also held military exercises around Taiwan earlier this year after Lai was sworn in as president.
COVID-19 hospitalizations have surged across Britain, driven largely by a strain known as XEC. Data by the UK Health Security Agency shows the admission rate for COVID-positive patients rose to 4.5 per 100,000 people in the week of October 6, up from 3.7 the previous week. The northeast of UK has recorded the highest hospital admission rates at 8.12 per 100,000 people, with those aged 85 and older being the most affected. Cases involving the XEC variant were first detected in Germany in June and has since been reported in other countries such as the US and Denmark. The strain presents symptoms similar to those of other COVID variants, including headaches, lethargy, sore throat and high temperatures. Hong Kong authorities have launched an investigation after 8 primates were found dead at the Hong Kong Zoological and Botanical Gardens. The zoo's mammals section will be closed for disinfection and cleaning starting today. The Leisure and Cultural Services Department said the deaths included a Dibrazas monkey, a common squirrel monkey, 3 cotton-top tamarins, and 3 white-faced saki monkeys. Authorities have arranged necropsies and laboratory tests to determine the cause of death, while the health of the remaining animals would be closely monitored. Established in 1871, the Hong Kong Zoological and Botanical Gardens is the city's oldest park. That wraps up AWANI Tonight. I'm Cynthia Ng. Thank you for watching. Good night.